A mysterious Wall Street legend who's just made over $20 million on MicroStrategy and Bitcoin trades over the past 12 months has just made two absolute bombshell predictions about not only Bitcoin, but MicroStrategy for 2025. This trader goes by the name of Josh Mandel, and he has just predicted MicroStrategy could hit $4,500 a share in the next 12 months. And he also believes that Bitcoin could hit $444,000. Now, I know that sounds absolutely bonkers, but let's not forget, we're going to be uncovering this man's first prediction about Bitcoin, which was made, as you can see by the tweet thread, exactly 129 days ago. And he predicted that Bitcoin would be trading at exactly $84,000 129 days in the future. And of course, this prediction just came true this week, 3 days ago, last Friday. Twitter's been going absolutely nuts over this man's accuracy, because not only did he get that one very cryptic, mysterious prediction about something happening 5 months in the future correct, but he's actually made a lot of money trading Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. It's not every day that somebody makes $20 million on their trades. So Rob, what do you think about Josh Mandel and the mysterious trades that he's been making about Bitcoin?
Well, good day, Luke, and good day, everybody tuning in. Yes, so this has been definitely the talk of Bitcoin Twitter over the last 4 days or so. The prediction was for March 14th close, 8 p.m. Eastern. Would Bitcoin close at $84,000? And essentially it did. It was within, upon my calculations, when I was looking at the chart, it was within $35 of 84,000, right on the money. Pretty amazing stuff. This guy has quite the storied past. He worked for Salomon Brothers, which was a legendary trading house. He worked there in the 90s. So he really, he gritted his teeth on one of the most toughest trading floors, I think, in all of New York City. Salomon Brothers. I think the other guy who worked there at the same time was Freddie Krueger. So yes, they worked together there. I don't know if they knew each other or not, but yeah, at a place like that, you'll definitely learn how to trade and read markets. And this guy has done just that. He started with $2.1 million trading MicroStrategy last year in 2024 and has turned that into $22 million. So not bad, as Bitcoin has been chopping around between this $75,000 level when Trump took off, or Trump got elected, to up to his peak of 109, now back to 84,000. He's been able to make money off of the volatility, 10xing his original investment. So impressive stuff there. But this call for 84,000 for Friday is the stuff of legends. Yes, and this is the original prophecy.
It's exactly that, a prophecy. I love this little image that Cedric from the Bitcoin Matrix made. I just can't believe that he actually predicted $84,000 to happen on the 14th of March, 120 odd days in the future. Let's go back to that prophecy, Rob, because you mentioned it. Here's the original tweet. Very cryptic. It's like a poem. It's like a rhyme. But there's the line that I think a lot of people are having a look at is, he says, when 84 becomes the base, Bitcoin calls will melt their face. So he's essentially predicting a pretty extensive rally. He predicted that to happen on March 14th. It happened. March 14th has kind of just gone by us. Right now, Bitcoin is squatting at what looks to be about $84,000 a coin right now. And they're waiting for the rally. Everybody's waiting for the rally that's supposed to melt our face. Now, the interesting prediction he made, the $444,000 one, he didn't just mention it in this little cryptic tweet where he said, the coin won't stop. 364 more. So that's $360,000 on top of $84,000. A trio of fours times a grand. That's the top. So again, it's cryptic, it's strange, it's out there. It's a prophecy, but kind of as we laid out, this guy's trades are public. You guys can see very clearly he's made a ton of money trading options on MicroStrategy and Bitcoin over the past 6 to 12 months. Again, it's not every day somebody turns 2 million into $22 million. So we thought this was pretty interesting. All of Bitcoin Twitter was talking about it. I've even seen other people asking Grok, the artificial intelligence brains behind Twitter, what were the probabilities of Josh Mandel accurately being able to make such a prediction about the price of Bitcoin 120 days into the future. And Grok said it was near impossible, which is absolutely fascinating. But again, I think it's kind of always just ties back into that point. Bitcoin, who knows where the price of Bitcoin is going, but it's going a lot higher. Did you see this video circulating on Twitter, Rob? We've kind of talked about MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, and we might in a second actually talk about, how people should prepare for a world where we might see $444,000 Bitcoin and $4,500 per share MicroStrategy. But I want to first ask you about this clip. We're talking about MicroStrategy. Do you see Michael Saylor talking at Bitcoin for America? Well, he seemed pretty confident in saying that Bitcoin is going to be the largest asset in the world in the next 48 months, which is by 2029, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, Saylor is definitely the man in the room. He's been flying around the world. Just posted a video yesterday of him talking about how he's in Miami at talking to Saudi royalty, and then he's at the Cantor conference talking to billionaires. And the one thing he said is he went into a dinner he was invited to after one of these conferences that was just full of billionaires with people in the room. Attendees of this dinner were in control of between $5 and $10 trillion worth of assets. And somebody asked the room, all right, does anybody have any investment ideas for the next 6 months? And Saylor grabs the mic and goes, Bitcoin's is a $2 trillion asset. It's going to $20 trillion. And if you don't get it before it's $200 trillion, then you're going to have missed out. So yeah, he's definitely on his soapbox. I think he's sort of fueled up by going to the White House, being in the biggest meetings in the world with the largest heads of finance, and discussing what is going to come next for the world and Bitcoin on the biggest stage. So Saylor's definitely in the know, and I think it would make sense that within the next 48 months, right, the next 4 years, Bitcoin is going to be in a different area code, different zip code.
Let's have a look at what that new zip code might look like, Rob. I've pulled up a chart of Bitcoin, and I want to show the people what, hypothetically, again, this is just hypothetical thought experiments. Who knows if Josh Mandel has read a prophecy, created a prophecy, or whether he's just throwing numbers out there. But a $444,000 Bitcoin price tag in the next 6 to 12 months would be, it'd be a nice rally, but we'd be sitting somewhere around here. So again, like Bitcoin does follow this kind of trend where it moves up for 3 years and it moves down for 1, moves up for 3 years and it moves down by 1. And, a $444,000 Bitcoin price tag, when you kind of put on the chart, it doesn't look completely out of the realm of possibilities for Bitcoin. Again, nobody knows what's going to happen. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, nobody knows. I think the sort of conservative easy call was for 200K at the peak of this cycle. People who are a bit more ambitious were calling for 400 to 500, like this Josh Mandel call. And then we've got others who are calling for Bitcoin to reach gold parity this cycle, which a couple of months ago would have meant around $600,000, $700,000 Bitcoin. But now with gold's run up to $3,000, in order for Bitcoin's market cap to match it, Bitcoin would need to be priced at basically $1 million per coin to match gold's market cap now. So it seems as if 444,000 is right in the middle of that $1 million call and where we are right now. So it seems possible. I don't know. I think the market's gotten sort of reticent to make any of those big calls right now, as we've been chopping back and forth for the last 2 or 3 months. But again, it's Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is known to surprise and to surprise people when they least expect it. So could we run from 100K to 400 within 12 to 18 months? I don't see why not.
I tend to agree with that. I recently was having a look at some numbers, and I just kind of reminded myself how bullish previous Bitcoin bull runs used to be. So again, 2020, 2021, I've said for a long time, I kind of feel like that was not a real bull market. I kind of think there were a lot of factors that happened that year that kind of cut Bitcoin's bull run artificially short. We saw China ban Bitcoin mining as it was going parabolic in early 2021. A couple of weeks later, Elon Musk coincidentally and very strangely said, I'm not accepting Bitcoin for payment for Tesla anymore, but I'm not going to sell the $1.5 billion I've got on my balance sheet. Again, strange, very interesting. We also saw, Sam Bankman-Fried naked shorting Bitcoin that year at FTX. We saw the World Economic Forum and BlackRock pushing that anti-ESG kind of agenda, saying Bitcoin's proof of work mining is bad. And I just don't think that was a real bull market. I think, hey, maybe all of these things just coalesced as a coincidence to keep the price of Bitcoin shooting off much higher than it did in 2021. You can pop your tinfoil hats on at home if you want to, but I don't think that was a real bull market. So when you actually look at the numbers and you say, okay, let's ignore 2021. If you look at 2013 and 2017, the average multiple or the average return that Bitcoin gave during those two bull runs, something like a 65x from the bottom to the top. So if you run the same numbers on Bitcoin, Bitcoin bottomed at something like $16,000 roughly. If you put a roughly 65x multiplier on that, Bitcoin, if it repeats what it did in 2013, 2017, it wouldn't be unusual for Bitcoin to hit $1 million based upon the fact it bottomed at 16K. So I know a lot of people are talking about $444,000 Bitcoin. They're calling Josh Mandel crazy. They're saying, ignore him. We don't care about the fact that he's been very profitable trading not only Bitcoin and MicroStrategy for the past year, but they're saying we don't care the fact that he's traded bonds and all of these very safe liquid investments for decades at Solomon Brothers. So again, I would just encourage the people to keep an open mind. Nobody knows where the price of Bitcoin is going. This is why we always encourage you guys, just, keep it simple. Don't worry about trading. Please don't use leverage. Don't try to copy what Josh Mandel has done. It is true that he's been making a lot of money on options and trading MicroStrategy. And Rob and I might even give our own thoughts and maybe even show you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain about what our own portfolios look like in a minute. But I just encourage you guys, just, keep it simple, buy Bitcoin. We think the best place for you guys to buy your Bitcoin is Rhino Bitcoin. We call them the all-in-one Bitcoin super application for a very good reason. You can do anything you need to do with Bitcoin at Rhino. You can buy Bitcoin, you can sell Bitcoin. You can even send Bitcoin anywhere around the world using the Lightning Network with Rhino. As you can see, they've got a really slick user interface. They are the one-stop shop. You can even get some little debit cards. That's something you're going to be able to do with Rhino, which again is very useful if you are traveling around the world, going to different Bitcoin conferences around the world. And even in the not too distant future, you will be able to borrow against your Bitcoin, all in the one seamless, easy to use Bitcoin application. So that is Rhino. That's why we call them the all-in-one Bitcoin super application. And they're even going to be giving you guys $10 of free Bitcoin if you sign up with the promo code Bitcoin News. That's one word, capital B for Bitcoin, capital N for news. All of that will be found in the description of today's show. And we did mention the fact that you might be able to use Rhino in the future to get your hands on some Bitcoin debit cards as you're traveling to different conferences around the world in your Bitcoin travels. While we are talking about education and conferences, we would love to once again remind you about the biggest Bitcoin mining conference in the entire world that's happening in around 1 week's time in Florida. Again, if you guys don't have your tickets to Mining Disrupt, I'd highly encourage you guys, get your tickets while you still can. It is happening between March 25th, March 26th, and March 27th. They've got a huge powerhouse lineup. They have speakers like Dennis Porter. You're going to have people like Nico Moran from Simply Bitcoin. We're also going to have some very famous politicians popping in, maybe making some announcements. Who knows? You guys know that politicians are known for making big announcements about Bitcoin at conferences. Let's remember what happened in 2021. That was when Bukele announced his country, El Salvador, would be the first to accept Bitcoin as legal tender. irrespective of what does happen at Mining Disrupt 2025, I didn't stutter. They are the biggest mining conference in the whole world, the biggest. So if you do want to get down and check it out, meet some Bitcoiners in person, highly encourage you guys to check them out. Take advantage of the 20% discount that we're giving you guys. We're, again, very thrilled to be partnered up with Mining Disrupts, and you can use promo code Bitcoin News to get 20% off your tickets, and you can find a link for them down below in the description as well. So highly recommend you check out the conference, check out what is happening. Bitcoin is evolving, Bitcoin is going mainstream. You're gonna need to buy some Bitcoin. And that kind of gets me into a question I wanted to ask you, Rob. I'm personally very transparent with the fact that I don't own any MicroStrategy. I told everybody on the channel for a long time now, congratulations if you own MicroStrategy. You've outperformed me. I don't own any. I only own Bitcoin and Bitcoin in self-custody. But what are your thoughts on everybody asking the question of, hey, should I own 1% MicroStrategy, 5% MicroStrategy? I know some people who have more MicroStrategy than they do Bitcoin. Do you want to weigh in on that topic and that conversation, Rob, and just give us your thoughts around that topic?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that it's your money. You're free to do with it what you will, of course. But there is no better investment, better trade than Bitcoin itself, right? Bitcoin is the final trade. That is what you want to have, I think, the majority of your wealth stored in. As of course, fiat is just melting away in terms of it appreciating value. And these other investments, of course, are extremely, extremely risky. MicroStrategy did have that unbelievable fall where, I mean, this autumn where it went in September, it was about $120 up to $550. So really impressive performance right then. But since then, it's been struggling, right? It's crashed back down to half of that, a little bit less, around 250, I believe it is right now, to 300. And you're going to be treading water. And I mean, if you look at the chart of MicroStrategy going back 25 plus years or so, back in 2000, it peaked to 330, and it took until 2024 for it to reach that price again, right? So there has been a long history of spikes and bubbles within the MicroStrategy chart. But I do think, I mean, there are some ways in which people can only invest in stock rather than Bitcoin, right? If you have a 401k, if you're matching it with your company for your retirement plan and whatnot, if you're going to invest in the stock market, I would say MicroStrategy probably is a good bet, but Bitcoin is the final trade, and remember that.
Pretty sound words of advice there, Rob. Bitcoin is the final trade. This is the chart. I took a while to pull it up, but this is the MicroStrategy chart. This is on log chart, so you can kind of see the point that you're making. You know, it has kind of traded sideways here for a long amount of time after it kind of burst in that 2000 tech bubble peak. Putting it on linear really does put things into perspective of showing how flat it was for 20 years after that big bubble popped in the year 2000 in that tech bubble pop. But yeah, I think the fact that, you know, Bitcoin is the final trade, everybody is coming to the realization that they're going to need some Bitcoin. I think they're really sound words of advice for people to take advantage of. And it does actually kind of look like the entire world is scrambling right now to get exposure to not only Bitcoin, but also companies that have Bitcoin on the back.